Hello and welcome, my name is Meepolis, they, she, he, and this is Literally Graphic. And today we are taking a look at the standalone manga, Remina, from Junji Ito and translated by Jocelyn Allen. This book was originally published in 2005 in Japan and subsequently translated into English and published in so-called North America in December of last year. Content notes for crucifixion, mass hysteria, torture leading to execution, body horror, attempted rape, as well as giant tongues and eyes. The depiction of violence in the book was pretty graphic. Perhaps not the most graphic, but the depiction of pain and suffering seemed to be one of the things that Ito was trying to focus on, so it was depicted in detail. This is in fact my first Junji Ito title I've read, at least as far as I can remember. I've certainly heard a lot of praise for Ito in my time on MangaTube, and I would like to pick up a couple more Junji Ito titles, as I feel like the reviews of Remina are a bit more mixed than usual, although it might just feel that way because it is, I believe, his most recently translated work. It was still nominated for a few awards, but yeah, you should probably leave me recommendations in the comments as to what your favorite Junji Ito title is, assuming it's not in fact Remina. Moving along to his Goodreads bio, quote, Junji Ito, born in Gifu Prefecture in 1963. He was inspired from a young age by his older sister's drawing and Kazuo Umezu's comics, and thus took an interest in drawing horror comics himself. Nevertheless, upon graduation he trained as a dental technician, and until the early 1990s he juggled his dental career with his increasingly successful hobby, even after being selected as the winner of the prestigious Umezu Prize for horror manga. The most common obsessions are with beauty, long hair, and beautiful girls, especially in his Tomy and flesh-colored horror comics collection. For example, a girl's hair rebels against being cut off and runs off with her head. Girls deliberately catches a disease that makes them beautiful but then murder each other. A woman treats her skin with lotion so she can take it off and look at her muscles. But the skin dissolves and she tries to steal her sister's skin. Ito's universe is also very cruel and capricious. His characters often find themselves victim of malevolent, unnatural circumstances for no discernible reason or punished out of proportion for minor infractions against an unknown and incomprehensible natural order. His longest work, the 3-volume Uzumaki, is about a town's obsession with spirals. People become variously fascinated with, terrified of, and consumed by the countless occurrences of the spiral in nature. Apart from the ghastly, convincingly drawn deaths, the book projects an effective atmosphere of creeping fear as the town's inhabitants become less and less human, and more bizarre things begin to happen. Before Uzumaki, Ito was best known for Tomy, a comic series about a beautiful, teasing, and eternally youthful high school girl who inspires her stricken admirers to murder each other in fits of jealous rage. Eventually unable to cope with her coy flirtation and their desire to possess Tomy completely, they are inevitably compelled to kill her, only to discover that, regardless of the method they chose to dispose of her body will always regenerate. In 1998, during the horror boom that followed the success of Ringu, Tomy was adapted into a movie. Since Tomy, many of his works have been adapted for TV and the cinema. End quote. Which does seem to lean towards me not being terribly thrilled with any of his representation of women. But a person can hope, I guess. Thoughts? What kinds of keywords came to mind? Horror tropes, torture, apocalypse, mass panic, sacrificial lamb, and cosmic horror? The Goodreads description is, quote, an unknown planet emerges from inside a wormhole, and its discoverer, Dr. Oguro, christens the celestial body Remina after his own daughter. His finding is met with great fanfare, and Remina herself rises to fame. However, the planet picks up speed as it moves along in its curious orbit, eliminating planets and stars one after another until finally Earth itself faces extinction. Is the girl Remina the true cause of the catastrophe? A masterwork of horror from Junji Ito unfolding on a universal scale. Definitely more plot than character-driven. The characters are merely pawns to move the plot along. Not a terribly wordy comic. I managed to read it in one day between 2 commutes. Of the writing I didn't like in the story, the dialogue was largely okay. And while the detail to which Ito renders the torture of Remina and Daisuke is not my favorite thing in the world, the art and page layouts, etc. demonstrate a very high level of skill. As you may have already guessed, the female representation in this book did not hit me particularly well. The level of expression and action from Remina in the story does come across as very outdated, but perhaps more so, in my opinion at least. I don't generally see a need to consume fictional media that involves the intense suffering and torture of anyone. Centering a woman like this is only playing the torture up for shock value. Oh no, it's so much worse because the innocent girl is literally calling for her daddy as she's being crucified. I am powerless enough in my own life when it comes to all the people around me who are being tortured and killed by the housing, tainted drug, and COVID crises to really feel entertained or diverted by this sort of thing. Would a B-movie plot about a seemingly intelligent planet slurping up every planet in our solar system as humans run around frantically in the face of their inevitable demise have been timely and entertaining? Yes. The proportion of B-level movies I've consumed has skyrocketed during COVID. I don't have a problem with tropes, especially if they are put together in a satisfying or transgressive way. Mobs in fiction generally do not have much coherence to their motivation, but Remina, the woman, seems rather tacked on and only detracts from the plot, in my opinion. Why don't we center her father more? The only sexuality in the book is basically an attempted heterosexual rape before the man in question turns Remina back into the hands of the mob, trying to torture her to death by way of sacrifice. While this crisis is no doubt international, I believe everything is focused on Tokyo and there doesn't appear to be any racial diversity. Class felt like it got touched on a bit as there was some particularly powerful people who are temporarily able to leave Earth to land on Remina, the planet. Their fate was a small bright spot in the book. Ability versus disability did not feel like it was really brought up. On a slightly related note, the main villain, who is most determined to sacrifice Remina, the woman, is visually depicted as a monstrous other, which seems like a fairly ableist concept. Non-normative bodies are evil! So yeah, TLDR, not a new favorite horror for the Halloween season. I ended up rating this an okay 2 out of 5 stars. I feel like Ito is obviously very skilled, so I almost went with 3 stars, but the narrative choices just do not make this a book I can recommend as anywhere close to good. Bye, y'all. Keep reading and resist white supremacy. And Literally Graphic is created on land that should be given back to the traditional landholders, which in this case is, to my knowledge, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, an Anishinaabe people, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat Nation.